Well, I've got my broom out here in Baltimore because the Orioles just pulled off a sweep against the Angels and have now won 8 games in a row. But wait a minute. As our friends over at Cespedes Family Barbecue talked about last season, a sweep is good for a 2-game series or a 3-game series, but in a 4-game series, maybe there should be a better word. So it's not a sweep. No. It's a mop. The Orioles mopped the Angels in 4 games over the weekend. And I will recap it all coming up on this episode of the Locked on Orioles podcast.
You are Locked on Orioles, your daily Baltimore Orioles podcast. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Orioles fans. Today is Monday, July 11th, 2022. And welcome back in to the Locked on Orioles podcast, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, I'm your host, Connor Newcomb. And coming up on today's episode, we will recap another incredible weekend of Orioles baseball as they sweep, or you could call it mop, the Los Angeles Angels, taking all 4 games in the series. And they have now won 8 games in a row, their longest winning streak since late April in 2005. And I'll get you my 3 big takeaways from the Orioles weekend, specifically from the Friday through Sunday games of the weekend. Of course, if you want to hear the recap of Thursday night's win, go back and listen to Friday's podcast. But my 3 big takeaways will have to do with, first of all, Friday night's walk-off win. Was it the most exciting of the year for the Orioles? The second takeaway, the Orioles pitching staff came together and everybody got it done this weekend. And our third big takeaway is that the Orioles are having this success without a lot of production from Austin Hayes, who kind of missed his chance to be an all-star. But we'll talk about which player did get named an all-star for the Orioles, who also had a big impact this weekend. But that's all coming up on this episode of the Locked on Orioles podcast, which is brought to you by Sports Card Investor. Hey, Orioles fans, you are going to love this. Welcome to the world of trading cards reimagined. Stay tuned later in the show for more information on this awesome new tool for collectors. You're going to want to check out the Sports Card Investor app. And before we get to chatting about Orioles and Angels, just want to thank you for making Locked on Orioles your first podcast listen of the day. The pod free and available on all podcast listening platforms. And we're also right here on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe to the Locked on Orioles YouTube channel. We are oh so close to 600 subscribers, trying to get there. That's all thanks to you. And of course, episodes every day, Monday through Friday here during the season, as your Baltimore Orioles are now 2 games back of a playoff spot. They are 1 game below 500. They have won 8 in a row. If you're looking for a time to subscribe to some Orioles content and lock in or lock on the Orioles, this is the time. And we thank you, the listener, for making that happen and making Locked on Orioles your first podcast listen of the day. And for your first listen today, Orioles and Angels. And what a weekend. What a weekend. Of course, the series started on Thursday. Talked about that. Nice little 4-1 victory for the O's on Friday's episode. And then Friday happened. And that game that the Orioles won in walk-off fashion, 5-4 on Friday night, brings you my first big takeaway from the weekend. I have not felt like that from an Orioles win. I mean, probably in 5 years. Since 2017, around August of 2017, that was the Orioles' last 7-game winning streak, when they were right around the wild card spot, just like they are now. And yeah, there's been some cool moments. The John Means no-hitter, obviously. The Rio Ruiz walk-off homer in 2019 against the Astros. There's been multiple cool moments that have happened for the Orioles. But that game was unbelievable. And many said it. That felt like a game that only this team and the 2012 Orioles would win. And 10 years later, we're getting some serious 2012 Orioles vibes. So buckle up. Once again, a decade later. But, I mean, listen. Feels like we were all tuned in on Friday. It's bucket hat night. The yard's rocking about 27,000. Really good crowd, especially for this year. And the Orioles just didn't have it offensively early in that game. You could tell. Reed Detmers, who had returned from AAA, he was demoted about a month ago, was really struggling in the big leagues. And then he made a couple of really, really strong starts in AAA. He kind of made a tweak to his windup, and it worked. And I think he struck out 13, 14 batters in his last AAA start before the Angels brought him back up. They had Michael Lorenzen go on the IL. They brought Detmers. Reed Detmers threw a no-hitter earlier this year. He's a really good pitcher. He's only 23 years old. And that was his 23rd birthday Friday night. And he just rolled through the Orioles. And, it got me thinking, the winning streak's going to end. It was a lot of fun, 5 games. It's going to end. I mean, Detmer's 6 scoreless innings, 2 hits, 7 strikeouts against the O's. And listen, Tyler Wells wasn't his best at all. He gives up a 3-run homer to Mike Trout in the 3rd inning. Not a lot of shame in that, but he walked a couple of guys. He wasn't getting ahead of batters. He gave up 6 hits. He only lasted 4 innings. And, Detmers finishes the 6th, and the O's trail 3-0 heading into the 7th. They have plenty of comebacks, but I looked at Detmers. I said, wow, Detmers is at 91 pitches. I thought for sure the Angels will send him back out there for the 7th, and the O's haven't touched him. But instead, what the Orioles do is they start the comeback. And instead, what the Angels do is they go to the bullpen. And Jose Quijada comes in. He didn't know where the ball was going. The O's get the first 3 runners on. A Ramon Arias RBI single makes it 3-1. They cover the corners with nobody out. You're thinking, here's the comeback. The O's are going to tie the game right here. And then it didn't happen. Nevin, Chirinos, and Adley Rutschman as a pinch hitter strike out 3 in a row. And it stays 3-1. You just think that was the chance. They got to run. It wasn't enough. They're going to lose this game. And then the 8th inning rolls around, and the O's just continue to find a way against Ryan Tepera. Ryan Mountcastle gets himself an RBI single after a Cedric Mullins leadoff double, and they get it to a 3-2 game. And you think, well, maybe there's a chance. And then it felt like maybe the knockout blow was in the top of the 9th. Dylan Tate gets the first 2 guys out. And then Shohei Ohtani takes him deep for a solo homer in the top of the 9th, extended the Angels' lead to 4-2. And you just kind of felt like, they grinded to try and come back, but it's just not going to happen. And then Raciel Iglesias comes in, and he gets the first 2 batters out at the bottom of the 9th. There's nobody on. There's 2 outs. The Orioles are trailing 4-2 in the bottom of the 9th inning. And Rougned Odor's come to the plate. And it just felt like it was a great run. It's a great 5-game winning streak, but it's just not going to happen. And then it happened. And Odor laces a 3-2 fastball into left field for a 2-out single. Nothing super special. He did his job to get the tying run to the plate. You think, great job, Rugi. But I don't think it's going to happen. And then Adley Rutschman comes up. And Adley Rutschman drives a ball on a 3-2 pitch. Great AB. Works the count. Fouls pitches off. Takes close pitches. 3-2 fastball. Boom. Drives it into right center field to the wall. Odor scores. All right. We're in a 4-3 game. Adley's on second. It only takes one more hit. Here comes Cedric Mullins. Cedric Mullins. Boom. Line drive up the middle. Base hit. Rutschman scores. Mullins goes to second on the throw. They've tied the game at 4. Here comes Trey Mancini, been swinging a super hot bat. Already had 3 hard hit balls, already had 3 balls hit over 100 miles per hour on the night, but only one of them was a hit. Can he do it again? Another 3-2 pitch, little slider down and away, boom. Hooks it into the corner. Mullins scores easily. Camden Yard goes crazy. Orioles win 5-4 on the Mancini walk-off. It's been 48 hours. Like, I'm still feeling the emotions of that game. And I think all of you listening are as well. That felt like just so different. And that was the 6th of an 8-game winning streak. They had won the previous 5 games. So it's not like that was any kind of turning point. They were already playing great baseball all week. They had already had 2 walk-off wins earlier in the week. So it wasn't even a walk-off thing. But that moment, nobody on and 2 outs against Iglesias, who's been pitching really well for the Angels as their closer. You've got Rougned Odor up, and you just grind out that win. 4 straight hits. Odor, Rutschman, Mullins, Mancini to win that game. What a win. I mean, what a win. What a team. What a winning streak. It's still going. What a win. What a series against the Angels. That moment, and to have a game like that where you don't score, you have 2 hits through 6 innings. You can't figure out Reed Detmers. You leave that incredible chance in the 7th where you only get 1 run. You feel like you should have gotten 3 at the least, and you somehow only come away with 1 run. And to still keep fighting back and win that game, all with 2 outs. It reminded me of the Orioles of old. A game it took me back to 2013, the Chris Dickerson walk-off home run game. The Orioles basically didn't get much going at all in that whole game. And then Markakis homers in the 9th. They get 2 on. Chris Dickerson comes up, 3-run walk-off homer off of Jose Valverde and the Tigers. Yard goes crazy. That team had those kind of vibes, and this year's team just seems to have it as well. And it is making for some fun baseball. And it's not just, this team is fun. Do I think this Orioles team is going to make the playoffs this year? I still don't. There's a lot of talent in the American League. But are the Orioles 2 games out of a playoff spot? And do we have to start talking about it like that? We do. And it's going to be fun to talk about it like that throughout the year here on the pod. But of course, Friday was a great win. But it wasn't the only win of the weekend. They won all 3 games, really won all 4 games against the Angels. And the reason they did that once again is this Orioles pitching staff continues to outperform what anybody, including myself, thought they could do this season. So coming up next, my second big takeaway has to do with the Orioles staff as a whole against the lineup that includes Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani, and Taylor Ward, all All-Stars. A lineup that includes those 3 and what the O's pitching did against them this weekend. But first, got to tell you about Athletic Greens. I started taking greens because I wanted better gut health and just better immune system and really more energy. We're talking about a good Orioles team right now. I got to be energized for 5 days a week to get you guys this pod. And Athletic Greens helps me do that. So what is it? Well, with 1 delicious scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. And it's lifestyle-friendly, Athletic Greens. Whatever diet, it contains less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals, anything like that. And it costs you less than $3 a day. So you're investing in your health. And Athletic Greens, it has over 7,000 5-star reviews and recommended by professional athletes. It's the real deal. And right now it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just 1 scoop and a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. And to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/MLB Network. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/MLB Network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. So the Orioles take all 3 games that we're recapping and all 4 games in total from the Angels. They've won 8 games in a row for the first time since April to early May of 2005. And of course, it all started Thursday night with a 4-1 win. Then it's the 5-4 walk-off win on Friday night that I talked about. Then the O's win it 1-0 on Saturday and finish it up with a 9-5 victory on Sunday. And again, Orioles now 43-44 on the season. They are 1 game below 500. And with a lot of help from the Mariners, who came in, swept the Toronto Blue Jays this weekend. The Mariners are now even with the Blue Jays for the final wildcard spot. And the Orioles are just 2 games back of those 2 teams, Seattle and Toronto, for that final wildcard spot right now. And we're more than halfway through the season. We're at July 11th. We're a week away from the All-Star break, and the O's are right in it. How have they been right in it all year? Well, it's been these crazy wins, these great walk-offs. But it's really not the offense. They've had their stretches, don't get me wrong, and the offense looked much stronger than the pitching coming into the year. But it's been the Oriole pitching, surprising everybody, including me. It's gotten them to this point, and it's what got them to a sweep or a mop this weekend against the Angels. I mean, you had different guys stepping up every day, whether it was the starters or the bullpen. You start with Friday. I mentioned Tyler Wells had his first shaky start in a long time. He had 8 consecutive, just really, not the technical term of quality starts, but just in terms of watching him and how he pitched, quality starts in a row for the Orioles. And he just didn't have his best command on Friday night, gives up the big home run, only gets through 4 innings. But you can turn to the Brian Bakers, who gets 3 outs, and the Keegan Aiken, to get 5 outs. And how about Bo Salser, who was recalled earlier in the week just to get an arm up that had, could give you some length? He gets the Orioles 4 big outs. And even Dylan Tate gives them an inning. And it gives them time while the offense is sputtering. They kept it at a 3-0 game for long enough. It gave them enough space to come back and win that game in the ninth. Then you go to Saturday. Of course, Saturday is the big one. That's the shutout win. It's a 1-0 win in that game. You get the Anthony Santander RBI single in the fourth that gives the Orioles a 1-0 lead on Saturday. That was their only run. Santander, he went 2 for 4 with the RBI. He had 4 hard hit balls. He was really the only Orioles batter that did anything in that Saturday win. It was all up to the pitching besides Santander. And yet the pitching got it done. Dean Kramer, 5 scoreless innings, 2 hits, 7 Ks for Dean Kramer. 7 Ks and just 3 walks. Now, it took him 95 pitches to get through 5 innings, and he had to leave after those 5. But Dean Kramer wasn't backing down from anybody. How about 15 whiffs, a season high for Dean Kramer on 46 swings? 5 on the four-seamer, 6 on the cutter, 3 on the change, even got 1 on the curveball. The mix was working. And he gets through 5 scoreless, but you still have to turn it over to the bullpen. And everybody out of the pen is there. And the first one they go to out of the bullpen, it's Bruce Zimmerman, who was recalled on Saturday, after being sent down a month ago to work on his new delivery. And unfortunately, because of kind of the spot the O's were in, Bruce was then sent back down to AAA Norfolk on Sunday, so we won't see him again until after the All-Star break, unless there's an injury. But Bruce comes in, and he gets Shohei Ohtani out, and then he gives up back-to-back singles. And then he gets an inning-ending double play to put up a 0. And he wasn't dominant at all, and it was kind of a very small sample size. In his return to the bigs, we got to see 1 inning. Fastball velo was around normal. But what I liked out of Zimmerman is I've been yelling all year, throw more breaking balls than fastballs. He threw 2 pitches. He threw threw 3 pitches. He threw the slider, the four-seamer, and the sinker. 6 sliders, 3 four-seamers, 2 sinkers. Even if you combine the four-seamer and the sinker, that's 6 sliders to 5 fastballs. That's what I want to see out of Bruce Zimmerman. And that is what we did get in the short 11-pitch inning on Saturday. And then you go to the true bullpen guys, and you're still holding that 1-0 lead. And the offense is doing nothing. And Joey Crable, he gives up a leadoff double in the 7th inning. You're thinking, oh no, they're going to get this run. Runner gets to third with 1 out. Crable gets a big strikeout. Felix Bautista comes in, gets the out. Felix Bautista comes in, dominates Mike Trout, strikes him out in a 1-2-3 8th inning. And then you go to Jorge Lopez. Here he comes. Boom, boom. Does hit a batter. Allows him to get to second, but gets 2 strikeouts. Gets the out to win the game. And all of a sudden, you're looking at a shutout. And then you go to Sunday, and I get, on Sunday, they did give up 5 runs, but the offense did its job with 9 runs, so it didn't end up being an issue. And, those 5 runs, 2 were given up by Rico Garcia, who was recalled to help the Oriole bullpen on Sunday, and he gave up a 2-run homer to Max Stassi in the 8th inning, made it from a 9-3 to a 9-5 game. Wasn't really a huge spot. Brian Baker also gave up a run, but Austin Voth on Sunday, his longest start as an Oriole, 5 innings, 2 runs, 4 hits, 6 Ks, no walks for Voth. He did give up a 2-run homer to Monte Harrison in the 3rd, but that's all he gave up. He threw just 76 pitches. He allowed just 4 hard hit balls. And Austin Voth is saying, wait a second, nobody's taken my rotation spot just yet. Voth had 13 whiffs on 41 swings. 8 of those 13 whiffs came on his 4-seam fastball. 93 to 95, just blowing it by guys up in the zone with a good curveball. Waiver claim from the Nationals. And it's working. Everything's working. It was Felix Bautista who closed out the scoreless 9th to close out the sweep Sunday. The Oriole bullpen over the weekend, 13 innings, 13 hits, 4 runs, 15 Ks, and 2 walks. That's a 2.77 bullpen ERA over the weekend. Now, the O's bullpen did walk 2 batters over the weekend, as I said. But both of those walks came on Sunday. One by Brian Baker and one by Felix Bautista. The Orioles bullpen did not walk anyone on Friday or on Saturday. That was 9 innings of work over those 2 games from the bullpen. They didn't walk anybody. When you're throwing that many strikes and you've got the nasty stuff they have, you're going to get guys out. And that's what the O's have done all year. They keep getting guys out. And maybe this bullpen will look different after the trade deadline. Teams are going to be calling about a lot of these guys. We'll get to, in a future episode, who could be gone, who would stay. But right now, this bullpen is dealing. They've got a starting rotation that is kind of patched together, and it's getting it done. And I am excited to watch the Orioles pitch the baseball every night for the first time in a long time. Even when the O's were rolling in the mid-2010s, we weren't exactly thrilled to watch at least the starters throw the ball. When we got to the bullpen, that was a different story. I think I'm more excited to watch this starting rotation and what it can be moving forward this year with maybe a DL Hall and Kyle Bradish being very close to a return. 3 perfect innings with 5 strikeouts in a Double-A rehab start for Bradish on Saturday. You'll hopefully get Zimmerman back again soon, and maybe you get Grayson Rodriguez in September. When those guys start to come up, this is a better rotation maybe if they're pitching like this than the O's had in 2012, in 2014. It's fun. They're throwing the ball well, and it's fun. But it wasn't everybody contributing and everybody putting up the big stats all week. And a couple of guys did struggle. And the offense struggled a little bit again. I mean, they did nothing basically until the 9th on Friday. They scored 1 run on Saturday. Now they got 9 on Sunday. But one guy who struggled a little bit and has been struggling is Austin Hayes. And we found out on Sunday that, at least for now, Austin Hayes was not initially named to the All-Star team. And while a couple weeks ago, it looked like he had a real good case, Hayes has been in a slump. And so he probably won't be in LA for the All-Star game. But we'll talk about why his first half was still good. And we'll talk about who the Orioles' one All-Star is coming up after this. But first, let's talk about Sports Card Investor, really the most exciting new partner we have here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Because if you collect baseball cards or any sports cards at all, you need to download this app. I cannot stress it enough. Sports Card Investor is the app for you. It's the hobby's most powerful resource. You can quickly check the value of your favorite cards. You can find great deals, and you profit from the hobby if that's something you're into. If you want to make a profit, Sports Card Investor is the app. It's available completely free in the Google Play and Apple App stores. Sports Card Investor app, a must-have for baseball fans. You can easily browse thousands and hundreds of thousands of cards. Check the latest values of your favorite cards. They've got 7-day charts with the rolling values, 30-day charts with the rolling values. And here's the best part. You find the best prices, and you don't have to leave the app. You don't have to go to a different website to make the purchase. You can buy directly through the app with their eBay deals feature. So basically, if you're a card collector, you're looking to buy, you're looking to sell, you have to download the app. So download the Sports Card Investor app today, available for free in the Google Play and Apple App stores, or go to sportscardinvestor.com/lockedon. So we're talking Orioles and Angels, my 3 big takeaways from an Orioles mop. That's a 4-game sweep over the Angels this weekend. And my third and final big takeaway is that it's just a little unfortunate that Austin Hayes was not named an All-Star. Now, the AL and NL All-Star teams were announced on Sunday evening. Now, the players who were announced in the game, that's not going to be the full list of All-Stars because every year there are guys who are injured and can't play the game. There are pitchers who start the Sunday before the All-Star game, know they can't pitch, so they're replaced. And at the end of the day, you generally get at least 3 players on the AL and each NL teams added before the game actually happens next Tuesday night. So theoretically, there'll be some more guys added. But unfortunately for the Orioles, as we start with Austin Hayes, he was not selected, and he will not even be selected, it looks like, as a replacement going forward for the All-Star game. And there was a time this year when Hayes looked like he had a really good chance to be an All-Star. I did an episode 2 weeks ago where I broke down the Orioles All-Star chances. And I basically put down Austin Hayes as having the second best chances to be an All-Star. And I thought he would be one of 2 Orioles selections. But since then, Hayes really took himself out of that conversation. And it was another kind of rough weekend for him against the Angels. He had a 1-for-4 Friday and 0-for-3 Saturday, ended up 1-for-7 with 4 strikeouts on the weekend, and then was out of the lineup on Sunday, still saying, he's got some soreness in his wrist and got a little bit banged up last week. And so is still monitoring that. And it's just been a struggle for him. His last 10 games at the plate, Hayes right now is 3-for-38 3 for 38 in his last 10 games. That is a .079 batting average, 9 strikeouts to just 1 walk in that stretch. And he just hasn't been getting it done at the dish. And the overall season stats have suffered. 80 games, 333 plate appearances. Now his average has dropped 261, 318 on base, 441 slugging, 11 homers, 20 doubles, good numbers. And, still a 114 WRC plus. You'll take that with the great defense, has a 1.4 WAR according to Fangraphs. Still, a top 5 number on the Orioles right now. But this slump just made it impossible to put him in the All-Star game. He went from basically right on the AL outfield bubble. When I did my breakdown of the AL outfielders, my prediction a couple of weeks ago was it looked like he was right on the bubble. He was either going to be the last outfielder to make it or the first outfielder to miss it. And I felt like he was just enough to be the last outfielder to make it. But then he goes on a 3 for 38 stretch right before they name the team, and you go from bubble, maybe about to make it, to essentially out of the conversation. That's where Austin Hayes is. Now, this doesn't take away from how great he's been all first half. And it's still been a really great breakout season for him in the Orioles. Unfortunate that he won't get to go to the All-Star game like Cedric Mullins did last year, but just wanted to kind of highlight that that's why Hayes isn't there, is this stretch lately right before all the voting ended. It kind of took him out of that contention. But as every Major League Baseball team does, the Orioles do have one All-Star. And congratulations to Jorge López, who Sunday was named the Orioles' only representative for the 2022 MLB All-Star Game. And really, on this Orioles team, no one more deserving than Jorge López. And things looked a little dicey last weekend when he blew the back-to-back saves in Minnesota, and then he gives up the home run on Monday against Texas and allowed homers in 3 straight appearances. And we thought, are things turning for Jorge López? Well, then he turned it right back around and got 3 saves this week. And for Lopez on the season, 38 appearances, 41 and a third innings, a 1.74 ERA, 47 strikeouts, just 15 walks, just those 3 home runs allowed. The stuff's been great. The transition from starter to closer has been basically without a hiccup except for last weekend. And the best part about Lopez is that was a really rough stretch for him in those 3 games. And he just brushed it off and came back, and he's saving games again for the Orioles. Got the save Saturday, held down the 1-0 win, even after, hitting the second batter of the inning. Andrew Velazquez pinch runs. He steals second. Kurt Suzuki does hit a ball pretty well to left field. Austin Hayes makes a nice catch to end the game. But Jorge Lopez maintains that 1-run lead, finishes the shutout, gets another save, and he's fully the Orioles closer right now. And there's another conversation to be had about, will the Orioles trade Jorge Lopez? I would guess every team in playoff contention is calling the Orioles about Jorge Lopez right now. But just what a story to be, on his 3rd team as a starter. When he was with the Orioles in 2020, he had the highest active ERA of qualified pitchers in baseball. And it was rough as a starter last year. He gets moved to the bullpen. It looks good for 5 appearances. Then he gets injured, misses the rest of the year. And then all of a sudden comes out spring training this year, wins the closer job. And despite the 1 bump in the road, he's just been fantastic, unhittable, a top 5 reliever in the American League all year, really a top 2 reliever for most of the year, him and Clay Holmes. And he deserves this All-Star appearance. He better pitch. Remember, we saw John Means as the Orioles' only All-Star in 2019, didn't pitch in the game. That stunk. But I think he should pitch. Besides Clay Holmes, who's been a better reliever than Jorge Lopez in the AL this year? And now, unfortunately, it makes it 5 straight All-Star games for the Orioles without more than 1 All-Star, which, is a little unfortunate. You get Jonathan Scope in 2017, Manny Machado 2018, John Means 2019, no game in 2020, obviously, and then Cedric Mullins last year. And you'd like to get back to the point where the O's have more than 1 All-Star. And I feel like moving forward, starting next year, Adley Rutschman's going to be pretty easy to pencil in as one of the 2 AL catchers. The last time they had multiple All-Stars, 2016. O's had Manny Machado, Matt Wieters, Brad Brock, and Zach Britton, 4 All-Stars that year, which was, of course, the last time the O's made the playoffs. But just wanted to shout out Jorge Lopez. Got to be great for him, for his family, for his son. I mean, I know it'll be tougher because it's in LA, but what a moment it would be if his son could get out to the All-Star game and see his dad pitch in the All-Star game. But what a moment for Jorge Lopez. Deserves it so much. He has another week of saves to get, and then he'll head to LA for the All-Star game. It's going to be such a cool moment for him, and hopefully he does get to pitch in that game. Again, there still will be players added to the All-Star team, but I don't think it's going to be Hayes or even, the Felix Bautistas, the CNL Perez's, the Trey Mancinis of the world, the Ryan Mountcastles. They're having great years, not all-stars, but great years, and helping the Orioles do a great year where they've won 8 games in a row. One game under 500. This is fun. They're 2 games out of a playoff spot. Let's do this. Next up, the Chicago Cubs. That team, not very good. Orioles have beaten them in the 1 meeting so far this year. But first, an off day today. O's can enjoy it with the 8-game winning streak. And then I'll be back with you on the pod tomorrow. We will preview game 1 of 2 between the Orioles and the Cubs. And coming up this week, got a really busy week on the podcast. We'll be previewing the draft. The MLB draft is less than a week away. Who will the Orioles take number 1? We'll talk about that coming up on the podcast this week. We'll take a closer look at the Orioles rotation, how it's going to fare when guys like Bradish start to come back and they can kind of set it up after the All-Star break. We'll take a look at a guy in CNL Perez. He's kind of been the unsung hero of the Oriole bullpen. We'll look at Trey Mancini, really starting to swing it well, and the potential of him being traded away from the Orioles, along with looking at who could be traded from the Orioles, who the Orioles could trade for at the trade deadline in early August. But all that and more coming up this week on the podcast, starting when I'm back here with you tomorrow. But until then, I'm Connor Newcomb, and this has been the Locked On Orioles podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.